Hi, this is Jason Conoval from Venom Power, and welcome to part 7 of the Venom BCMS video tutorial series. In this video, we will be going through running a baseline test for our newly added battery, as well as charging and storage charging batteries. Starting with a brief explanation of the baseline test, this is a process that the Venom BCMS uses to set the baseline for the battery's measured capacity. Baseline tests are recommended throughout the life of the battery, and through this ongoing service, we are able to monitor the degradation of battery pack health, helping to ensure that only healthy batteries are taken out into the field. The baseline process takes a reading of the battery capacity from the point of full charge to full discharge and captures this value in the maintenance table, which we will discuss later in this video. Because of the importance of this information, all newly added batteries are required to have a baseline test run as the first process. The exception to this rule applies to DJI TB50 and TB55 batteries, which at this time the BCMS is not capable of discharging due to the design of the battery. While the baseline process can be lengthy, especially with high capacity batteries, the information gained is a very important component of the overall system. Generally, I will start our baseline tests at the beginning of the day to ensure that I'm giving adequate time for this process to run. Let's begin by making sure that the desktop software is open and that we are signed in. For the purposes of this demonstration, I will be using the website, but we could also use the desktop software to start the baseline test, as the operations are exactly the same. First, we will choose an available charging bay and connect our battery main leads and balance leads. For Venom Commercial Series batteries, we must also connect the communication cable that was included with the battery to the SM bus port of both the BCMS battery bay and the battery. The battery bay has an integrated XT90 connection, and Venom sells adapters to convert to almost any battery connector, including supported DJI batteries. Please note that for safety reasons, the BCMS requires the balance leads of the battery pack to be connected. The exception again being for DJI batteries, where balancing is controlled within the battery. Once our battery pack is connected, let's close the bay lid, slide the bay back into place, and engage the safety latch. Notice now that the bay shows a configure battery message and provides a setup button. So let's go ahead and click setup. In a previous video, we had discussed adding batteries to inventory through the inventory section of the BCMS software. However, as a reminder, we can also do the same at this stage, and this is just a matter of preference. Because we have already set up our battery, let's select Choose an Existing Battery. From the Select Battery window, the drop-down provides a list of batteries that match the cell count recognized through the balance port of the battery bay. I will select the battery that we created in a previous video and hit Select. Now this bay updates to show idle and also provides estimation for the battery's state of charge. With the battery bay now configured, as we hover over the bay, we are presented with an option to start the baseline test. As we start the baseline test, the first step in this three-part process is the baseline initialization, which brings the battery up to a full charge. As this process finishes, the second step is the baseline discharge, which brings the battery down to the cell voltage we configured in the operating range section during setup of the battery. The discharge portion of the baseline test is where we gather the capacity reading that will be added to the maintenance table. Jumping ahead, the baseline discharge is complete, and now the system transitions to baseline charging, bringing the battery back up to full charge, making it ready for use. Jumping ahead once again, the baseline charge has finished, and now we see that the bay has returned back to the idle state. Now let's take a look at the data collected from this baseline test. There are 2 locations that this maintenance data can be found, and to view these, let's jump over to the inventory page. The first location this information can be found is here at the maintenance section, which provides data at the fleet level. Here we are provided an overview of all batteries in our fleet and the current status, or the last measured baseline capacity for each. Moving back to the batteries section, let's view our battery by clicking on it and then moving over to the maintenance section. Here we are provided with more detailed record of all baselines captured for this specific battery, including how the capacity of the battery has changed over time. Now that this battery has been through the mandatory baseline process, we are able to start a charge, storage, or run another baseline. So let's take a look at this by moving back to the charger section. With this battery that we just completed baseline for still configured, notice now that as we hover over the bay, we are given options to start charge and start storage. Charge will bring the battery up to the per cell value that we set as the upper limit for the operating range in the battery configuration, while storage will bring the battery up or down as needed to reach the storage level set in the battery configuration. As a reminder, should we need to modify any of these values, we can do so by locating the battery in the inventory section and selecting configure. Because our battery is already configured to a bay, we can also enter the battery configuration by clicking on the ellipses and selecting configure battery. I also want to point out that to run another baseline test for this battery, now or in the future, the ellipses section gives us the option to run a baseline test. This concludes part 7 of the Venom BCMS video tutorial series. Please see the description below where we have provided a link to part 8 of the series, where we will discuss the charger detail view and how to rename a charger, as well as using the identify charger and bay options. Until next time, safe charging.